Hello, hello, everyone. Yes, it is time for another episode of Fresh Off the Set. We are so excited to be with you. I'm Alora Murray.
And I'm Kami Stroot. This is a fun one, you guys. So David sat down with Derryl and his wife, the Yeagers, talking all things Odyssey Dance Theatre. And as a dancer myself, someone who's always performed ever since I was 3 years old, this is such an interesting and fun conversation. Just because as a performer, you know, you all, even though you perform different ways, you have different parallels of dance. And it's always a form of expression. So it's always fun to talk to people who, one, are heavily involved in dance theater. And let's hear more. What you got?
Yeah, the Yeagers are truly amazing. In Utah, I don't know how many people know this, and I think you figured it out, since moving here. Utah is amazing for dance training. It truly is. So You Think You Can Dance used to not stop here. They used to go to LA, but they had so much talent from Salt Lake City that they ended up stopping here a couple of times. We have a lot of people on Dancing with the Stars. We have just the training here is amazing. And the issue that was happening was people would train and then they would leave. The only place they could go were the coasts, so LA or New York. I know a lot of friends on Broadway. Some went to LA. And with Odyssey Dance Theatre, it is one of and I would probably say, one of the only professional dance companies in Utah. And so the Yeagers created a space for people to go and continue their dance journey, to have this professional experience in Utah, which is so amazing. And I've danced, I've done musical theater with some of the dancers that have performed with Odyssey, and I've taken classes from some of their teachers. So really what they've created, and I mean, as a dancer, you have an artist's heart. What they've created is so special and so important to not just the dance community in Utah, but the art community as a whole.
Yeah, and everyone who watches. I mean, it just touches and pierces everyone's heart when you have a great performance.
So we're so grateful for them. So let's take a listen to David's interview.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fresh Off the Set. My name is David Osmond, and I get the pleasure today to sit down with some dear friends of mine that, we go back decades. I have a huge respect for in the artistic world, in entertainment, showbiz. We've done I don't even know, countless shows together over the years, and they've been performing their whole lives. So we share that pain together because I grew up performing and singing since I was a kid.
It's a blessing and a curse. A blessing and a curse.
Yes, indeed it is. A double-edged sword.
Yes.
My guests today, Derryl and Cheryl Yeager. They are the founders, creators of a dance company called Odyssey Dance Theatre. Mm-hmm. And it's a premier dance group right here in Utah. But they travel all over the world and are known coast to coast here in the States for being the best of the best. And they put on amazing shows over 30 years, or about 30 years you've been doing shows. And one of the big premier ones that everybody knows, it's a staple to go see every single year. It's Thriller.
Yep.
And it's a Halloween extravaganza, just a variety show of everything you can imagine about Halloween mashed up into 90 minutes.
It's a Halloween mash. I like that idea. It's a Halloween mash.
The monster mashup is what it is.
Yes.
And it is just so much fun. And now you've got so many other shows. We've been working on this Christmas show, and I get a chance to be in another show with you guys, which has been fantastic. We started out years ago as friends in the arts and being able to do shows together, and now to be able to continue our working relationship on stage and off stage.
Yes,
it's awesome.
You played Joseph in my Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat down at Tuacahn.
I was just
all those
there.
Years ago.
Oh my gosh! I played Joseph for about. I did 5 different companies. When I first took over for Donnie and his Canadian touring cast, we went all over the U.S. and Canada. And took over from right here in Salt Lake and then continued. But honestly speaking, the version that we did together down at Tuacahn was my absolute favorite. Because we had the live elements. We had live camels. We had the open red rock behind us. You could flood a stage. We are in the desert.
Yes.
As the show, and you could feel it. It was awesome, and you brought so many unique elements to that. So
thank you. It was fun having you, and it was great. It was a great opportunity to put on an amazing show, and of course with an amazing Joseph.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
It was awesome. And the first time I had played Joseph was with a different company. I was 17 years old. Wow. I was 18 when I took over for Donnie, and then continued from there. When we did our production together, I think I was 22, 23. ish.
Yeah.
About that. What was that? 50 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, close to that.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I actually had the Hale Center Theater come to me recently and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about reviving and doing Joseph again?" I'm like, "Boy, if you do go down that path, give me about 6 months to hit the gym pretty hard, because the worst part of the show is just sitting in that loincloth.
And I need probably a little Botox to get through the performance. It'll be great.
But your history in the arts is vast, and you start out in your career as a dancer yourself. Yes. Tell me a little bit about how you got started, Derryl, and then of course Cheryl, your background, as creative, as artistic designer, as clothing, everything. You guys are the dynamic duo. Tell me about your origins.
We were kind of the mom and pop of dance companies. I'm the artistic director, and Cheryl does all the costumes and stuff like that. And we actually met in Ballet West. We were dancers in Ballet West many years ago, and she was the shy little girl in the corner, and I came in, blustering, going. I said, "Hey, you want to go on a date?" And she goes, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, let's go see The Exorcist."
That dates us.
And
I said, "No."
And she said, "No, I don't think so." And I was like, I tucked my tail between my legs and like, oh my gosh, somebody said no to me. I don't know if I can take this.
It's rejection.
Rejection. And I after a while I figured out
your head was spinning.
Wait a minute, maybe it's not me. Maybe it was the movie she didn't want to see.
There you go.
So I went back and I said, "Okay, would you like to go out to dinner?" And she said, "Okay, I'll do that."
And that was the third try, actually.
Yes.
Because he came back again. "Are you sure you don't want to go to the movie with me?" "No."
Persistent and selective. I love that.
Yes.
And so we actually went on the date, and I knew in that first date that we were going to get married.
You're kidding. Awesome.
No, I just knew.
Cheryl, what were you thinking?
Well, we were dancing together as partners. So,
yeah.
We were
You had
already
chemistry.
becoming,
You already-
we already had chemistry.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was meant
It took me a while to convince her that
but not very long, about a month.
See,
Wait, you dated for a month before being engaged?
Yes. And
Wow.
so this summer,
A
we had
Utah tale as old as time.
our 50th wedding anniversary this
50th?
last summer.
Yes.
Yes.
We just
You hit 50
celebrated.
this last summer?
Yes.
My parents hit 50 this last summer. So the same time. This was 73?
74.
Four.
Yeah, so we
Of
got
course,
married.
hello.
Yeah. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, we with the date on the Ides of March. We were engaged on the 26th of April, and then married the 26th of July. So it was kind of a whirlwind. But when you know, you know.
There was something in the water that year. My parents sound very similar. They were
Yeah.
engaged for 13 days.
Married
Married July 16th.
It's interesting because there's a lot of couples that are just like that. It's not an unusual thing that couples will find. They just kind of get together and
When you match that way.
yeah, something says that's the one, and and when you figure that out, then it's like, well, why wait? 14 years. I can't believe these people that have like 2-year engagements and stuff like that. I'm like, seriously? I mean, if it's the person, you got to get married.
Life
Go
is
for
short.
it,
Let's
right?
go. Let's do this. Okay,
Yeah.
congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Well,
50.
thank
That
you.
is unbelievable. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. And you guys,
really amazing.
I mean, it's just like there's no Derryl without Cheryl and vice versa. Like
Yes.
you guys are the perfect match, just a power couple. And to be able to continue this partnership, not just as dancers, but as business partners, as a married couple, doing something that you absolutely love, still in the arts. What was the genesis of this Odyssey Dance Theatre? Because it's 30 years now. How did this come about? You've been married 50, so 20 years rolling.
We have
you
five kids and 14 grandkids. So we've multiplied and replenished. We've done our job. And so, but at the same time, when we moved back from Los Angeles, we were in Los Angeles for quite a few years.
Yeah.
We just found that there was this huge pool of talent of dancers here that didn't necessarily want to move to New York or LA. And so, and I thought, you know what? I mean, you have Ballet West here, and you've got RDT and Riley Woodbury, the modern companies there. I said, there's this big hole in the middle of a more contemporary, we call ourselves a jazz ballet company. We've kind of used Hubbard Street as our model.
It's a hybrid of all these different styles.
Where you do all the different styles of dance, So we got a bunch of dancers together and did a show. It's kind of like Mickey Rooney and Julie Garland and said, well, let's just do a
Class
show.
And sass.
In 3 days, they have a show.
You know, so we put together a show.
And we'll do him he'll put a whole show together in 2 weeks.
Amazing.
So
that's amazing.
That's amazing.
But those that aren't in showbiz, like
together.
that's nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And she tells me that all the time. So,
you're nuts. You're crazy.
You're crazy. And,
let's go. And then Cheryl pulls it off.
Yes,
somehow.
she does somehow. She's amazing. And so, you know, and the thing is, we really enjoy working together. You know, I mean, that's it. A lot of couples have trouble with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But we, for some reason, we seem to work very well together.
It's magical.
That's pretty amazing. So
being on the producer creating side of things is one thing, and that's a lot of stress and it takes a lot of talent to do that. When you were on the artistic side, you are the dancers. What is that like for those that are listening that don't know the dance world? Can you kind of paint the picture? You're living in LA, you're full-time dancers, you're working, you grew up in training in ballet. I mean, hardcore. What is that life like?
Well, I mean, it was tough. I mean, there were a lot of lean years along the way. I mean, we went to New York and I auditioned and got into a chorus line. And so I was in a chorus line.
Huge show.
Yeah, that was back in the heyday. And I actually had a private audition with Bob Fosse.
No way.
Yeah. So it was back in that day when he had Dancing on Broadway. And I was thinking I'd love to go do Broadway or something like that. This is after we'd been in Ballet West for several years.
Yeah.
And, I auditioned for Bob Fosse, and he said, well, I don't have any openings right now, but when you come back to New York, let's teach you the lead role in Dancing on Broadway. And I was like, okay, great. But then I also wound up getting an audition for a chorus line, and they hired me. And
so you didn't have to leave New York.
So I didn't. So we actually went into the International Touring Company, which went to like. Boston for 3 months. It went to Philadelphia.
Sure.
It was big, long residencies. We were in
Those
Vegas
are so fun.
for 3 months.
Yeah.
And to me, that wasn't like bus and truck kind of touring.
It's so great. You get to know the city, and then you get to go try something else each season.
And then I can have my family with me, and we just basically get an
right.
apartment, and we set up shop for 2 or 3 months in those locations.
Those are the best shows.
So
when you're doing the one-offs and you're on a bus and you're running, you don't even know who you are after a while.
Exactly. And so I did chorus line for a couple of years and settled down in Los Angeles, did a lot of film and television work out there. And then eventually we got into Cats. The guy who was the dance captain for Chorus Line at the time became the dance captain for Cats when it opened, and I helped them with their auditions, and I wound up getting into the cast there. So we were in Los Angeles company for 2 years there, and then from then Michael Bennett gave me a call at one point in time, and he said, I need you to do Dreamgirls. And so I was the token white guy in Dreamgirls.
No way.
And did that for a couple of years. And that
I didn't
was
know
amazing.
if I knew that. That's fantastic.
I mean, I was having to sing in the background, me and my baby going downtown. I was doing what I needed to do to be in the show.
Bringing as much soul as you can.
But, I was the token white guy in the show. But that was a blast. It was amazing because that was the time when you just kind of got called.
That's right.
Be in the show, and didn't have to really audition that.
The cattle call wasn't as aggressive,
but you
still had to have the talent. I mean,
sure.
For Bob Fosse and people like that to say, "Dude, you got it."
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's kind of an upper echelon of people that they call them gypsies. They're the ones who work in all the shows and stuff like that because they're triple threats and they can do everything. And nowadays, you can't have a dancing chorus and a singing chorus. You have to have someone who does everything.
Does it all,
Because, you'll play several different parts in the show, things of that sort. And part of that's economical in terms of the casting and how expensive Broadway shows are.
There's only so much room on the bus,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Truly, it takes a lot to put on a production. And you've seen that from behind the scenes for so many years. And then to go after decades of being working dancers and artists, to now say, hey, let's go create our own and let's start a new tradition. That's a whole nother ball game.
It is.
What was that like, and what was that spur moment?
Well, we just found a bunch of really amazing dancers, and they really, we did our first little show, and the response was really strong. We thought, okay, well, maybe this has some legs. And then, as we got going, a couple of years after that, we thought, well, we need to kind of have something that'll actually make us some money.
Novel idea. It's showbiz, the business of show.
Yes.
And we were driving over the point of the mountain, and he said, well, Nutcracker, you have all those kids, and everybody comes to see them, but we have too many Nutcrackers, and we ended up doing a Nutcracker for a while, actually. But I went, oh my gosh, there's nothing for Halloween for adults.
So Cheryl, this sparked right from you. You're like,
and
you
he's
see
like,
the
get
void.
out a piece of paper. And we wrote down 2 sides of ideas.
Yeah.
And there was one corn maze back then. There was no haunted houses.
Yeah.
And so we still haven't used all the ideas on that piece.
For those that aren't in Utah, you got to see Utah during the Halloween season. It is now congested with hay rides and places like Corn Bellies, and all these destination for Halloween experiences. But back then, what you're saying, there was this void, and you saw it and created a movement. That's awesome.
So originally I wanted to do like a full-length Dracula. I thought, that'd be so cool to do. But I had no money. I mean, if you're going to do that, you got to have huge sets and costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my board member at the time, Bruce Huff, who's the father of Derek and Julianne, he said, well, why don't you just do like some vignettes or something like that, And I thought, dang it, I really wanted to do
the full production,
a big production. I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. So we started off with the Frankenstein, Dancing with the Bride of Frankenstein. We thought, maybe a tap dancing skeletons piece that might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then wait a minute, we do 3 Jasons. We could do like a Jason jam kind of a thing. And so we kind of came up with all the ideas, and we started putting it together in the studio. And, we'd scheduled like 4 performances at Kingsbury Hall. And about a week before we were supposed to open, the guy calls me in there at Kingsbury and says, Derryl, you've only sold like 50 tickets of this. Maybe you should cancel. And I just sat there and went, I really thought there was something special about what we were doing in the studio.
Yeah.
I said, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down in flames. Let's go ahead and go for it, And then we wound up with maybe 300 people, who came to the show that very first year, and then, but the response was super strong.
Yeah.
And so
word spreads fast.
Yeah. And so within 2 years, we started selling out performances. And so from that, it's grown from those original 4 performances. We just did 39 performances here in Salt Lake.
All
here in
sold
Utah.
out.
Yeah, all sold out.
50 tickets from the beginning
From
stage
50
to now
tickets.
39 sold out.
Yes, and
that's
so
awesome. So great.
It became our Nutcracker basically in terms of it provides the funds that we need to do the rest of our season. So that was a really, really an amazing thing that how the track of how that happened and how that came together. But, Thriller was, we did Ogden, Logan, Park City, here in Salt Lake. We're at the Grand Theater for our new show and on Salt Lake Community College, and then also down at Tuacahn in St. George. And so, it's just been amazing to see that growth and the people. I don't know. Utahns just love their Halloween.
There's something in the water, isn't there?
There is.
And also in your front yard. Like everyone decks the halls. But Halloween, really, there's something about the culture. I don't know what it is, but Utah does love it. And you guys have created something so remarkable that goes right along hand in hand with it.
All of the shows we do, Derryl's, one of his fortes is humor.
Yeah.
And so you don't see that in dance productions very much.
It's very serious.
Yes.
It's all angst.
It's all,
dramatic.
Woe was me working out my demons on stage, and everything. But
you kind of have a little Mel Brooks in you, like a little side of you, right?
That's true. That's true. And I think that's the one thing that people really enjoy about the show is
oh my gosh.
They come and they laugh and they have
Young
a great
Frankenstein,
time.
It's that vibe. It's
Exactly.
a comedy, and there is a drama to it, but it's also being able to laugh at yourself. But then when you put the best talent behind it
Yes.
to back it. That's what makes it, because you can put on a show and you can have the tongue-in-cheek stuff, but once you see the caliber of dance, that takes it to the level of expertise that not everybody can create, and you guys do that so well.
Yeah, and 80% of the dancers in the company are from Utah, and so it's an amazing place. They have so many amazing studios here that train some great dancers. Well, it's obvious, so many dancers are on.
So You Think You Can Dance.
Dance. We've had 9 finalists there. Brandon Armstrong, who almost won the Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
He was a company member.
A lot of Utah.
Yeah.
Nigel Lithgow, who created American Idol, So You Think You Can Dance, the British judge you see on there.
Right.
Great guy, good friend, his sons as well. They've all told me, they said, David, no joke, Utah is our Graceland.
Yeah.
Whenever we do a show, we know we can count on Utah.
Yeah.
We get the best of the best from here. And it's that hidden secret that's not much of a secret anymore.
Yeah.
People recognize. And the coast from LA to New York, they always draw on Utah to get talent.
So we've been the fortune for us is that all those talented dancers are here, don't necessarily want to go to New York or LA, and we provide this professional opportunity for them here, and that's why I started the whole company to begin with.
I would imagine you've seen, and Cheryl, you've probably seen stories of the butterfly effect, where just like your mentors, from the Bob Fosse's to everybody else that trained and raised you guys from the Ballet West days to what you're doing now, you've probably had over the 30 years doing Odyssey Dance Theatre, students and dancers that have now gone on to create their own productions and do their own major shows. I mean, what is that like to see that the talent that you've helped cultivate blossom?
It's very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Robbie Fairchild, who was in one of our productions as a young
dancer. I told him at the time, I said, your feet are really bad. You need to go do ballet. You need to do more ballet, So he winds up, he's principal dancer in New York City Ballet.
Are you kidding?
No, he's amazing, and he also did American in Paris there and on Broadway and stuff like that.
He's
phenomenal.
But all those years ago, he was like this young kid who didn't want to go to ballet class.
And here he is.
And here he is,
top of the top.
Well, Thane Jasperson, who is original cast member of Hamilton. I mean, he was there when they created Hamilton. He was one of our dancers.
One of your dancers.
Yeah, one of our dancers in the company. And so there was a girl, Natalie, who's on the Eras tour with
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we have dancers that are just all over the world. Rockettes and stuff like that.
All over Broadway.
The mark you guys have made on the artistic and entertainment world is vast, and people that may not even have seen you guys have seen the effects of what you guys have created, and that's a huge testament to your talent as producers, creators, and dancers yourselves. That's awesome.
It's very heartworming to see that. I think that's
we did 16 years in Europe.
Yeah,
that's unheard of.
Consecutive years of
you
European
tours. You take this across the pond. You go international.
In the spring.
Yeah,
and
it's great because it's kind of like icing on the cake for the dancers at the end of the season.
Yeah.
To go on tour to Europe, and it's not like a huge long tour. It's maybe three to 4 weeks. And
that's great though.
It's just enough to where cool, we've toured, and it's just short enough to where you don't hate each other by the end of that. By the end of that experience, because that's more of a bus and truck kind of operation.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But the audiences in Europe just love the company, and we've walked into a situation where there's a producer there that loves us, brings us back year after year,
for sure,
and that's really unusual too, because most dance companies will maybe go on a European tour once every 5 or 6 years or something like that. Because it's really, it's tough to do that. But we go over there and we have to add 2 or 3 bows. Then we have to add an encore. And then we have to add like 5 or 6 bows after that. Literally, I have a videotape of like 12 minutes of bowing.
Ovation.
Of they're just clapping and just screaming and
they
yelling.
stomp.
And they stomp.
the whole building is moving.
Holy cow.
And they just keep clapping and clapping, and the dancers keep looking like,
Well,
goodness,
Utah, we need to step it up a little bit. We need to let's bring the thunder.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really, I love watching the dancers' faces, because I always, when I set those extra bows and stuff like that, they're kind of like, look at me like,
yeah, sure.
Come on. But then when it happens, they're like, holy crap, look at this.
Someone appreciates, I mean, and credit where credit's due. They work so hard.
Oh, yeah.
You guys work so hard. You may say putting a show together in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that is crazy. But the amount of time that you have put your dues in to make that possible is, I don't know if everybody can really truly appreciate how much time and sacrifice.
Yeah, it's this is a new production we're doing right now, this Christmas show. And we kind of took the old idea of Thriller, and we've kind of done that for Christmas now. We're going to have lots of vignettes, lots of different things that, from all your favorite Christmas shows, like The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, A Christmas Carol, A Christmas Story, the Rockettes. We're doing all these different things in this show to make it a Christmas spectacular.
It's so spectacular.
You need two of them.
And I'm honored to be along for the ride on this one and be part of this new brand and keep it a new tradition. So you hit every season, right? You got the Christmas, you got Halloween, and beyond. You guys do so much. And what's the next, as we wrap up on this conversation, what's the next steps for Odyssey Dance Theatre? Where are you going from here? Well,
we've got our European tour scheduled for the year after next already. We're getting ready to go there. We have our spring season, which is called Shut Up and Dance.
Yep.
And that's where we really kind of push the envelope and have, really new contemporary works that we put together. But there's always something really, really cool and splashy that we always put together for those shows. And it's just amazing to really utilize the talent that we have here with all these dancers that really shows what they can do.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about So You Think You Can Dance is just people all of a sudden in a mass market realize, man, dancers do some amazing things.
Totally.
And for what we do, I mean, we're called Odyssey Dance Theatre because we do all these different things in the context of one show. You take the people on an Odyssey. Somebody said that the Odyssey is like a series of notable events,
journeys,
and I thought that's what we do as a company. And if you don't want something
stories.
Contemporary, you'll love a hip hop piece, or you'll love a tap piece or something like that. I mean, it's the variety, I think, that really works.
Variety is the spice of life, and but it does take artistic know-how to really package what works well together and what doesn't. That's where the Yeagers have that secret sauce figured out.
Sauce in terms of creating stories
and the vignettes and how they all somehow mash together. And I love that once you walk away from this show, it's like you just spent an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're like, where did the time go?
Yeah,
that's the testament of a great show. So people that would come out to a dance show that normally would not. Love Odyssey Dance Theatre.
Yeah.
That's what I've loved to see. The audiences of all ages and shapes and sizes and walks of life come to this show because of that variety aspect. Kudos to you. The
comment we get all the time from guys who get drugged to dance things is like, I don't like dance, but that was cool. That was cool. That was really enjoyable. And I actually had a good time. So you don't have to throw away your man card to come and see the show. You can come and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And say, oh, that was great.
Unexpected.
I didn't fall asleep. This is amazing.
For real, yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things that's a real mark and testament of the company is just entertaining.
Yeah.
It's entertaining and it's fun. And I think that's the secret sauce that we bring to the dance. It's not just one thing, it's all these different things, the elements that we put together and tell great stories. Like we're doing The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, in this Christmas show. Well, we have Cindy Lou Who does a little solo. She's going to go out into the audience and she's going to hand people presents in the front row, right?
Yeah.
Well, then the Grinch comes out. He's going to go into the audience and take the prince's presents back and steal them away.
Break the fourth wall. A lot of interaction.
He'll take the presents back, and then he'll go up, and then she kind of melts his heart and stuff like that. But there's like a little story within that vignette that works really well. That tells a story of the Grinch without having to sit through the entire show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've done that with all these different elements in the Christmas show, and I think that's going to be fun.
I love it. You guys are fantastic. Kudos to you on massive success for 3 decades now, and you're just getting started. You've changed the landscape of the artistic world in Utah and the world for that matter. So
thank you.
I'm honored to be part of these productions with you. Thank you for entrusting me in that, to bring music and a voice and an element that way, and in the hosting aspect. I'm just honored to call you my friends as well along the ride. You guys have been fantastic and great mentors, and I appreciate it. We support wherever we can. We just got to bring that European energy like you experienced to Utah. Let's rock these Rocky Mountains.
I think a lot of times we're kind of the best kept secret in Utah in terms of like, these guys are really good. These dancers are really good. And the world knows it out there. And that's something that's really exciting to see. And we love bringing that energy here to Salt Lake.
We'll keep supporting the arts. Thank you guys for all you do. We're behind you the whole way.
Cool.
Thanks for being on the show. And thank you for listening to Fresh Off the Set. If you're a dancer out there, you appreciate this. You totally get it. And if you are listening and you've got those that are up and coming, bring them out to an Odyssey Dance Theatre show, whether it's here in the States or across the pond over in Europe. Yes. Anytime, you will not be disappointed. Thank you guys, Derryl and Cheryl Yeager. You're the best.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.